Greetings and hello, Athens, Greece. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces and some new ones. And thank you all for being here and joining us today what promises to be a great solution session. For those of you that might not know me, my name is Theodoridis, and I am the current past president of IFES and have been in the exhibition and event industry for the past 30 years with my company Vision, based in Greece. Thank you both ESSA and IFES for allowing me to moderate today's session in what promises to be a very exciting one, and I hope it provides some new ideas and even some objectives to some of us. Before we begin, I would like to share with you my own thoughts on today's session. The first wave of COVID was hard hit for most of our companies worldwide and had a devastating impact on our industry. When restrictions were first introduced last March, we saw a drastic drop of activities, almost 2/3 of our normal level. In the beginning, most of us were actually providing some quotes and believed that things would go back to normal, as we have heard this terminology by some, whatever this means, and that restrictions were only a temporary problem. In less than a few months, we saw this totally changed, with plenty of confusion and no light in the tunnel, and with very little government support for many of us. A lot of companies worldwide were forced to cancel their accounts, and some even filed for bankruptcy. Those that stayed along downgraded their accounts due to redundancies of their staff. As the first and second wave continued in most countries worldwide, we saw more lockdowns and a decrease in activities takes place. We all realized and knew that something must be done. More knowledge of the virus, safer ways to conduct business, and fewer government restrictions helped in planning activities for the future. While most companies did not make a profit, some events assisted to allow companies to adapt, survive, and prepare themselves for the next steps. It is this future we must look into, and we must transform our events to follow customer behavior and expectations. Based on all these factors, time has proven that the industry is preparing itself on how to improve this process. Today, we understand much more and have taken certain measures in developing the means to recovery. By combining the power of face-to-face and with the latest technological advancements, we agree that we can engage even more by adding value to our clients and appeal to new ones. The latest polls worldwide show that 2/3 of exhibitors expect to return to exhibitions and events once someone is vaccinated. For today's session, I have the privilege to have with me 4 panelists from around the globe, which will share their insights and experiences with all of us and tell us how and what we can expect in the future. So before I begin with my rounds of questions, I would like to introduce to all of you our distinguished guests and to share with you some of their highlights in their careers. On behalf of ESSA, Carl Kriskion, Director of Equinox Design Ltd, based in the UK. Starting his career working agency side, Carl has mentioned it's been a privileged path to have experience as a client and provider within the events world. Joining the Equinox Group some 20 years ago betrays his experience within the field, being that his father set the company in 1983. He has stated, and I quote, "I'd like to think I've done every aspect of the job from sweeping floors to working in the accounts department." Now, co-owner and managing director of the group, he oversees key clients and the day-to-day running of the company. With a strong background and in rolling out strategic campaigns across multiple industries worldwide, his knowledge of delivery runs deep. The Equinox Group provides design, build, and project management of both virtual and face-to-face events and exhibition worldwide. Welcome, Carl.
Thank you.
Also with us today, on behalf of ESSA, is Maria Erzin, co-founder of Solutions 2 in the UK and ESSA Vice Chair. In 2001, Maria co-founded the design and build company Solutions 2, an ESSA member since the association's inception. Her industry experience spans 26 years, including senior roles at BDC and GES. Always a firm believer in the values of trade associations, Maria has recently contributed to ESSA's vital work, developing an all-secure standard for the industry. She is passionate about helping drive industry recovery and resilience after COVID-19 alongside the ESSA Use a Member campaign. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you.
On behalf of IFES, Thorsten Hein, CEO of Sarnowski Germany and IFES Vice President. His resume, among other things, include NATO Air Force Command, trained as an air traffic controller, certified communication professional, partner and principal in an advertising agency, marketing director, March Formula One, sponsoring director of Porsche Racing Team for the Porsche Super Cup, Carrera Cup, principal of consultant company for indoor kart tracks. In 1996, he started in the stand building industry with ProFair in marketing and sales. In 1997, he won the first international account and took over the responsibility for the Japanese, Singapore, and US office. He ran several global accounts and was on the board of the company. From 2010 to 2015, he was chairman of the FAMAP International Chapter. Since 2013, he's the MD of the company Sarnowski and has a responsibility with his team for all projects outside North America and China. Since 2013, he is a proud member of IFES, as well as on the IFES board, sharing his experiences with all its members. Welcome, Thorsten. And finally, but definitely not least, Benedict So, chairman of Kingsman Creatives Ltd, based in Singapore. Benedict is chairman and founder of Kingsman's Creative, a company listed in the Singapore Stock Exchange and has offices in 20 major cities throughout the world. Kingsman provides multidisciplinary services, from creating the story to line design and the fulfillment of trade shows, theme parks, museums, retail, and visitor centers. Ben's leadership of a team of over 1,500 employees ensures that the company adapts to the challenges, technological and trend changes that are pervasive in the last 40 plus years. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you.
So thank you all for being here today. And as you have all clearly seen, ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered quite a group today. And I hope that you feel the same way from this session. So without any delay, let's begin. I would kindly appreciate with all of you to please refrain from asking any questions during the panel discussion. There will be plenty of time which will be provided after the discussions are over. And as always, you are more than welcome to place your questions on the chat board, and we shall come back to them after we finish. So my first question goes both to Maria and to Ben. And Maria, I'll begin with you. The question has two parts to it. Where do you believe that our industry will be from 1 year from today and in 3 years?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. And I'm aware that the impact of COVID has been global, so the effects of it will differ greatly right now, dependent on where you are in the world. The speed at which we've all had to change our businesses and our personal lives it's never been faster, as we've all had to acclimatise to the effects and restrictions of COVID. I think looking much further ahead, I'm sure there'll be a place for technologies such as AI, AR, VR. But in the really short term, we've already seen exhibitions and events pivot into the virtual world, some with more success than others. And certainly the conversations we've been having in the past few weeks with exhibitors has seen almost a push back against technology and a huge desire for face-to-face quality networking. And I think that's the key word, it's quality. Of course, anyone involved in events has to continue to embrace new technologies, enabling a greater reach. But the basics, I think, of a good exhibition and event will still be the quality of people and product. And aside from that, and aside from COVID, obviously, sustainability is going to play a massive role in shaping the industry.
Thank you. Quite interesting. Ben, same question to you. What do you think about?
I have 3 quick points. Number one is trade shows will be back because digital just doesn't quite work out since the last 1 year. A lot of people are beginning to talk about digital fatigue and all. So secondly, exhibitors and visitors will be more discerning, however, in the years ahead with regards to how they exhibit, how they design, and how they budget for their exhibitions. As you can see from right now in Shanghai, for example, where it's relatively robust with exhibitions, but the exhibitors are cutting down their budgets and things to be more simple. So it's a bit of a trend thing, like dressing up, you know. Years ago, everybody put on the tie and jacket and all, but these days,
Very seldomly.
very seldom. Yeah, exactly. So we have to expect that in time to come. And lastly, solutions. You know, we are part of the marketing communication mix, and really, the clients will still need face-to-face marketing communication. But rather than just going for participation in big shows, they will do it individually. And this is where we as an industry, we as service providers will have to engage with the clients and help them to show off what they need to show and to connect with their own customers.
Yep. Thank you. Torsten, Carl, I have one question for you. Torsten, how do we manage with all the shifts and changes to be at least one step ahead of our customer needs? What do you believe on this?
Well, it's difficult to predict actually what the expectations are of our customers, because they are all in a situation where they don't know where this pandemic is leading us to. The past several months, we have been working a lot on more digital contents, but I mean, I see the trend more in these smaller events with little showrooms or pop-up stores that are coming up, because after the first phase of digital content development and virtual shows and whatsoever, as Maria and Ben mentioned before, it is not the replacement for live communication. So you have to be smart to find kind of a combination out of everything. And we as a company, we prepared ourselves because we have a digital agency as well as a marketing agency, and of course the capabilities and the skills to provide 3D communication for live events.
Okay.
But it's a tough question, because every customer we have has different approaches. Give you one example. I have one client in southern Germany. They're in the electronics industry, and they went to 3 major shows every year in Europe. Now we're building a live stream studio, but at the same time, they are hoping to have the first show in November, because that is still scheduled and not canceled or postponed. But you know, in order to be prepared for every development of the pandemic, we're creating now this live stream studio in their venue. But yeah, it's the basic intention is to be ready for 3D communication.
Thank you. Carl, your insights on this?
Yeah, I think the difficulty that we've seen, and yeah, going back to Maria's lack of crystal ball, was a real shame. I think the difficulty that we've seen is each of the industries have had a different time during COVID. So we've got certain clients that their offering has boiled over, and they've had, over the period of the last 12 months, a really rapid rise in what they're providing, especially where they're providing sort of, I guess, more digital elements. And then we've also had clients who are providing sort of solid items that are being in massive need as renovations and building has moved along. So their needs have changed radically, whereas some clients' needs have completely sort of stayed still. So the industries individually with our clients have changed. But one thing that we've noticed, which has sort of been across the board, is the fact that people are looking nationally rather than internationally at rollouts within the next sort of 6 to 12 months. Now that will differ moving forward, but certainly most of our clients, certainly the ones that are based in the UK, have been looking at shows which are more localized. National shows have been prioritized over maybe European or international shows where they are looking to sort of commandeer a market which is more achievable, I think, in the eyes of the UK, being in the UK. That said, I think managing the shifts and the changes is not going to change from where it ever was, where I think it's just listening to our clients, working out what their needs are and seeing what the trends are within the market. We've certainly seen a change in the mix of how clients want to do the virtual and the physical events. Going back to one of the delegates here, it's right. In all occasions, the digital side of things just doesn't cut it. And I think that's only an advantage for the industry where we can cover both methods of communication. So I think there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel, proving that what we do in our day-to-day basis is very much in need, it's wanted, and sort of the shifts and changes and the things that we're seeing and we're adapting to are very much driven by our clients who need this service, which is nothing but a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you. Ben, as you listen to this, do you believe, and the next question is to you, will we recognize a regional shift in the exhibition industry in the upcoming years, do you think?
Well, exhibition industry mirrors the sophistication of the marketplace. In other words, the more active the market is, the more trade shows or exhibitions will be held, Mm-hmm. So an exhibition favors globalization. So I'm a little bit concerned, I'm quite concerned actually, of the nationalistic exhortations or rhetorics of the politicians all over the world. Mm-hmm. They all, it's quite unhealthy for our business. So we really need global collaboration and cooperation.
Okay, okay. Maria, if I can ask you, are you being asked from your clients to design or having to design into the projects? What are you being asked? If you're being asked, you're in mute.
Sorry, should know that by now after 12 months of using Zoom every time. It's a discussion that I've been having with some of our ESSA members actually, and maybe less about what we're being asked to design and more what should we be designing for when we're open. At the moment, my experience with our clients and the people we're talking to is that we aren't necessarily being asked to design anything significantly different from before. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is because exhibitors aren't being told that they need to do anything differently in terms of design, or maybe that's just because that's our clients, they're small to medium business, so possibly there's less of an awareness for it. And this could be a result of where we are in the UK at the moment. It's a key point. We've got the government event research programme carrying out pilot events, which hopefully the results of will tell us when we can actually open with live events again. But for now, as a contractor providing a service, we're just trying to guide our clients in terms of what we have at the moment, the All Secure standard, and the three main points that this addresses, which is pretty much hygiene, social distancing, and communication. But other than that, we're not really seeing a huge shift in design requirements.
Okay. Torsten, next question is to you is, do your clients understand, or better yet, do they appreciate what is needed in general to move along? And if there is, what is their concern?
Well, the biggest concern of our clients, at least to those where I'm in touch with, is that their top management is probably considering, releasing stuff out of the team, because currently they don't need the amount of employees in the company to run trade shows. And this is, for the departments, this is the biggest challenge, because it's not so easy to swap from physical events to digital stuff. So losing employees in the companies is another challenge for the future, because once the business is picking up, they probably are not manned properly in order to run the shows they had in the past. So part of our offer and requests we are receiving, or based on the requests we are receiving, is that they are considering outsourcing event management for their trade shows to our team. And at the same time, as you all know, it's difficult also to convince our employees to remain in the company and not looking for new perspectives in their lives, because at the moment, nobody of us can offer something which is, valuable to them, because they are all sitting at home and doing more or less nothing. So this is what I can see, where everyone can learn from. So considering in regards to your own customers, if this is an option for the future, that you offer this outsourced event service to run trade shows for your customers and coordinate all exhibitors, let's say the different stakeholders of your customers and the venue and the hotels and traveling and so on and so forth.
Okay, interesting. Carl, what are your current considerations or contingencies, would you say, when designing or quoting for a client?
I think that really has quite changed in the last 12 months. I mean, initially from sort of when everything just literally stopped, we really did sort of have to rethink how would this happen in a sort of a post-COVID world, and I think it will get back to kind of where we were, but in the interim period, we've got clients who they just really don't know whether they're going to a show or not. And that's the fundamental basis of the brief. We don't know whether the show's going to happen. So can we have a solution for the show? Can you make it work in a sort of a post-COVID world? And can we be, I guess, as transparent as we possibly can? And that's with everything. So on the design front, we've certainly made things spatially very different. By allowing a lot more space within areas. Seating areas are different, meeting areas are different. We're not all sat next to each other as we used to be. And some of the meeting rooms certainly have just disappeared completely. So it's an open space with, sort of an area to have your own zone. But then also the kind of exhibits that we're looking at displaying, we are using a lot more gesture technologies rather than touch screen and things like that. So the design fundamentally is changing to, I guess, appeal to a non-touch, keep your own zone space within the exhibition space and the event of our clients as well. So I think that's changing the design that we're looking at fundamentally from where we were 12 months ago.
Okay.
Quotes-wise, transparency for us is, I think, the key. Transparency for our clients. You know, look, if things change, if we get in 3 months' time and that show just goes and we've put so much work in, the transparency of who pays what, you know, is there anything owing, and breaking the cost model down so that clients can feel secure that, you know, we can not push the button for build until the very last moment so that they're not caught, you know, sort of with costs that they didn't really want to have. So we've enabled that mainly. I would say on the side of things, and going back to what Maria said, just sort of building on whether we should be doing things in a certain way, sustainability is coming on as a key driver in terms of single use and things like that, which I think COVID has pushed in as a certain factor, pushed further on, something that we're really sort of looking at to really make sure that the client's getting the best sustainable solution as well as design and cost on top of that. So it's changed some things radically.
Okay, interesting. Maria, going back to you and listening to Carr, are you gaining guidance from any issues relating to work, you know, in certain countries? You're in mute.
I know. But thanks for the reminder. The majority of our work right now and the majority of what we're being asked to look at is UK based or Central Europe. We don't really work outside of those confines anyway. So where we're getting most of our guidance from is from the association. It's from ESSA. It's from the AV. It's from other associations like that in Europe. Event organisers, although the information coming from there at the moment is limited because they simply don't know themselves either. But also from just peers within the industry as well. Communication has opened up, and obviously there's still competition, but the willingness to share knowledge and information, I think, is greater than it ever has been. And so for me, it's just communication with our peers within the industry. It's difficult to find information I'm finding elsewhere outside of that at the moment.
Okay. Interesting. Torsten, having the vast experience that you have with clients going overseas, or at least in the short term, are partnerships in geographical located companies more crucial than ever? And if so, why do you believe so?
Well, these days it is very crucial to have partners overseas, and I mean, the key is travel allowances for our employees or travel restrictions from different countries. So that makes it complicated. So therefore, it is crucial to have partners overseas, like everywhere, in particular in the Middle East and in the Asian region. Mm-hmm. That's where we have currently some projects coming up, because it seems that we're kind of winning some projects for overseas trade shows, but not in Europe, not in North America and South America at the moment. But Middle East and Asia, that's obviously the drivers right now for our industry.
Okay, interesting. These have been really, really interesting information shared by all of you, and I'm confident that most of us that are listening here will have some questions to ask you. But before we go to them, can I ask you one last question to all of you? And that would be, in your opinion, what would you say are the top 3 tips for any company to consider in delivery of a project in the next 6 or 12 months? And Maria, I'll start by you.
Well, of course, I am going to say join your association. So in the UK, be an ESSA member, and to clients, exhibitors, use an ESSA member. that links into point 2, which would be stay informed.
Mm-hmm.
And then into 3, which again, and it's been a recurring theme through what I've said, is communicate, share knowledge and resources, and ultimately, let's be stronger together.
Okay. Ben, your 3 tips on this? And you're muted. You're muted, Ben. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Firstly, the clients are the clients, the exhibitors, our clients are also searching for answers. So we got to go to them and find out what they need.
Mm-hmm.
But really, as I was saying earlier, each of them are also finding solutions to come back to engage with their own customers. So as an example, big brands like Chanel, Gucci, Bulgari, BMW, Cartier, and they all LV, they all have been doing setups on their own.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we have been involved in. And even just as an example, the Macallan, whiskey Macallan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have a global first world's first show, actually,
Mm-hmm.
where they did a pop-up show and a place for special dining, for
Okay.
VIP dining, where they rent out the whole place. And it's proven to be extremely successful.
Okay.
So yeah, the other thing is the marketing communication mix. We are part of it. So we should not be just looking at trade shows alone. Really, for the next 2-3 years, even if it happens, budgets could be cut. So this is our challenge, to last that long.
Okay. Thank you for this. Torsten, your 3 insights on this? You're muted. Okay.
I know. So first tip, get rid of this. And on the other hand, that's actually what we are doing. We are training staff to become hygienic professionals, to judge stand designs, because as you all know, you have with the pandemic, and that will of course last for another year or 2. We have different regulations for stand build constructions and designs. So be it the distancing or be it perplex sneeze guards or whatever that have to be in place. And I have trained 4 or certified 4 people out of my team already that are able to help and assist other designers and also our customers in designing proper stand design. So that is one thing which I think is very important for the near future.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, and I agree to what you said, Ben, the budgets are going down. So you have to find other solutions than custom built stands if you not already have like system stands. We have added to our offer the modular stands with also kind of a system, but that where you don't see a system, so which is completely covered with fabric and has several options. So that gave me the honor to become a contracted supplier supplier for Köln-Messe with this offer, in addition to the system they are offering. And then be alerted and try to get yourself or foot in the door of the venues in your region, because I believe that venues are trying to take over a certain volume of the entire business by setting the regulations that stands up to a certain size cannot be built by outside stamp builder companies, but by the organizer or by the venue itself. So I think it would be a great advice, or it is a great advice, to get in touch with your with the venues close to your location, and try to also get a contract, because that is coming. I see that the venues and organizers see an advantage, in making this as a standard, that, let's say, up to 40 or 60 or 80 square meters, the exhibitors cannot come with their own stands, but have to order one from the organizer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well, listening to 9 tips, Carl, I'm going to see how you're going to offer us 3 more tips on this, and if there's more insight from your behalf. And you're muted, so we can hear you, just to be one more person muted. There you go.
It was my turn to be unmuted.
Exactly.
So first of all, I'd mentioned it before, but I think transparency is the key. Our clients, our potential clients, have been through hell just as much as most of the people in the event industry have. And I think if we can forge partnerships with our clients to find out what it is they need, and be transparent about what we're offering, what the timelines of what we're offering involve, and things like that, I think that will be a key to moving forward and making sure that they've got as much risk mitigated as possible. So that's number one. Number two, I guess the world has changed. Some things have obviously stayed the same, but I think when this first started, we broke down, really to the core, what is it we are good at? People maybe thought we were an exhibition company. In reality, we create branded 3D experiences. So that's virtual, that's physical, that's pop-up, that's a whole different manner of different things. And what does that mean to our clients? And really readdress your offering in terms of where you think it is compared to what it is you actually are good at and what you can do. And I think that is probably my main point. My third being flexibility. I think we are just going to have to move to the times, set aside the crystal ball, and let's see how it all plays out. But if we can be flexible enough, and we've invested in our staff and kept our staff throughout this, then we'll be in a good position to move forward and make sure we're doing it with the right sort of idea in mind, the one that's in line with our clients' needs.
Good. Well, thank you so much. And indeed, these have been, it's an excellent discussion to hear all of us and to share our thoughts. And I'd like at this point to open the discussion to all of us and to be able to see how many of you, I know there's one question coming from Uta, which I will read in a minute, which is the UK and its reopening. Can it be a role model for other countries? I guess it's more addressed to Maria and Carl.
I'd kick off there. I think, when this first started, we did end up doing a lot of vaccination clinics and builds for that. And that's still rolling out. So we've been working hand in hand with the NHS, and we know the story behind what the UK and where they're at in terms of the vaccinations. I don't know whether or not, that puts us a little bit further ahead than countries that have not had the vaccination rollout we have had. But in reality, I think we're all in the same boat in terms of how we roll out. And what format we roll out in a sort of an event way. I really don't think there's going to be lessons particularly from the UK. I think it's going to be across the board through Europe and the rest of the world.
Maria?
Yeah, I don't disagree with what Carl's saying. I would hope that there'll be lessons that can be learnt and knowledge that can be shared from the opening of the UK. Obviously, we've still got to get to that point ourselves yet.
Yeah.
But when we do, I imagine that there'll be lessons that we can all learn from every company, every country opening up at some point. We're maybe just a little bit further ahead in Europe with the vaccination program. But yeah, when we get there, hopefully there will be lessons that everybody can learn from us.
Okay.
Andrew's on the line at the moment, but he'd probably be able to go in a bit more detail. But there are some comprehensive trials going ahead in the UK, which might be beneficial for everyone once they're achieved and seen through, and we've extrapolated the data from what's happening there. But we have, sort of rollouts at Wembley. We have rollouts at different events, which hopefully will give us a key to, getting that data across to everyone in terms of what worked and what didn't. So I don't think we've learned the lessons yet, but yeah, hopefully we will.
I have a question coming from the Netherlands, and it's from Han, and he says, what about test events in the UK? In Holland, we have a trade show for events at the end of May with 2,000, 5,000 visitors pre-tested.
Yeah. Test events are part of the event research program that I mentioned earlier on. Test events, pilot events are taking place in the UK. In fact, the one that is specific to our industry is in 2 days, I think. Andrew will correct me if I'm wrong. So 28th, which is an event in Liverpool. So this is why I'm saying we're not there yet. We're waiting to hear what happens as a result of these tests, but they are taking place now, and I believe we are due to know the results of those in June sometime, May, June.
Any other question from anybody else in the audience that would like to ask our panelists? Our panelists to ask something to the audience of what, anything else throughout the world? No?
Actually,
Well,
I was interested in what Torsten said about venues. And is that something that you're seeing across Europe, or specifically in specific countries outside of Germany? Where is that coming from?
Torsten?
Well, it's coming from, numerous conversations I had with several venues, like for instance in Cologne, because for them it was a reason to bring this up, because if you imagine you have a show with 300, 400 exhibitors or even more, and you have 25 to 35% up to a certain size, like small stands with 40 square meters, then they simply do not have the capacities to do all these design checks on the various designs if everyone is sticking to the COVID rules and regulations that are in place for the city or for the state here. So the same, Uta, I believe, is also for Dortmund. There is the same trend. They're planning it. And as far as I know, there are other venues in Germany who are planning the same for the near future. I don't know for how long they can stand, in pushing this through. But this is a trend we are seeing here in Germany. I cannot talk about other countries because so far I'm not so much in touch with other venues. And I also hear from Reed that they're also planning to do the same. And is easy fares as well. Yeah.
Well, we witnessed this in Berlin. So far, and where they don't do it is in Madrid, where the first shows are running right now. So they came along with opening strategies, although they don't have that many vaccinated. They are on the European average, which is around 22 to 25% first vaccination. So UK is here quite ahead.
Anybody else? Any comments? Nothing? Yes, Ben.
Here in Asia, especially in China, where they have opened up, the thing is they are able to trace where you have been in the last couple of days or something, where you have not visited a high risk area with a kind of a digital app or something, where then you got a green tag, then you are allowed to go, you are allowed to proceed and get tested on the spot, then you are allowed to go in. So, but that's domestically in China, they are able to. But so there's practically no international exhibitors nor visitors.
Okay.
Here in Singapore, we have an active participation of the government. Same thing in China. So they have the authorities themselves are very pro-business. So they do their best to allow limited access. In the beginning, you ask yourself and say, no, you're wasting time, wasting resources. But as they begin to open up, you kind of get a hang of it and say, this is a good thing. They progress to allow more and more participation in every event.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, the World Economic Forum is going to be here in August.
In Singapore?
Yeah. Instead of in Davos, they're coming to Singapore in August.
Okay. Andrew, you shared something with us. It's regarding event testing.
Yeah, it's just very quickly. It's just in terms of what was asked a minute ago about what the UK is doing. That gives a good summary of what's taking place. It started 2 weeks ago, and as Maria said, we have our conference exhibition pilot on Wednesday in Liverpool, where we will be running it. But it's not they're not necessarily concerned about the event itself. It's about it's really concentrating on the kind of the human element and testing.
Okay. And the results will be probably at the end of June?
There's an interim report within the next week or so. There will be a more substantial report by the middle of May. However, it's unlikely that there'll be any guidance ready until the middle of June at the earliest. So in the UK, we can run certain types of events from the 17th of May, no earlier than, and the 21st of, and in terms of larger events and inside events, no sooner than the 21st of June. And at that point we would get our guidance as a sector, as would lots of other sectors such as sport, culture, music, and so on and so forth. So it feels like a long process, but hopefully it will fly by. We're only a month and a half away, but that seems like a long time at the moment. But it will pass quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Doubts? If that's the case, yes, I have something from Marilyn. Andrew, does that mean we will have no guidance before Confex? Are we one of the few exhibitors, but still not sure whether or not we will be allowed in?
Will we? Sorry, yes, a very specific question to a small industry. Well, I say small, medium-sized industry event in the UK. Will we have guidance? Yes, we will have guidance by that date, but it will be very much pushing that deadline.
Okay. Uta, I interrupted you. You wanted to share something with us?
Yeah, well, this is a question I get on my table quite often the last few weeks. How do we get, and this is really a question to the whole panel, how do we keep our personnel? Quite a few craftsmen are now in different industries, building industry, for example, or project managers are leaving to marketing agencies, leaving our kind of business. And well, when we have a kick, or when we get, when trade shows are kicking back in, well, we have a back-to-back situation. Yeah, every showground will have shows one to the other, and on the other hand side, we don't have personnel anymore. So, or this is a fear I'm witnessing right now from several companies. Do you have the same impressions? What do you do? Can you keep your personnel involved? Does training help? What are the solutions we might have to look for at this point?
Well,
Yes.
I can speak for our company. As you know, in the US, we had to lay off a number of people, and now the business is coming back. I mean, we're proposing June as a kind of a kickoff in the United States and North America. And yeah, we're hiring. So that's, you have to deal with it, Uta. There is no answer to that. I mean, even here in Cologne, I will recruit more staff once I have the business. So I cannot prepare myself too much because it will cost us money when we have employees too early back in the office. But it is a challenge. Also, I know from my colleagues in the States, it is a challenge to recruit people because many of them, and not only the employees we had, but in particular the freelancers, the labor guys, they're no more available because they went into different industries.
Maria, you wanted to share something?
Really, just agreeing with Torsten, it's a really difficult question to answer because all of our businesses will be different as well. You know, we've been, I say lucky, we've had to make redundancies, but we've made fewer than some, I suppose. And so in the UK, we have the furlough scheme and the flexi furlough scheme. So I'm able to bring back my team as and when I need them on a part-time basis at the minute. Obviously, that has a cost implication, and it is one we're having to cover right now because the conversation we were having earlier on is that we're busy. We're busy with designs. I think we're probably all busy with designs. The industry's picked up, exhibitors, they're putting their heads above the parapet. They're wanting to talk to us now, but they're not necessarily wanting to pay the deposit just yet. So we're having to change our model of how we work and the charge for designs, etc. But it's an impossible answer. But I think training is a good thing to keep people involved in the business. I think if we've been going like this for 12 months, 13 months now, nearly 14 months, and if you're at home and not involved in the business, it's very easy, I think, for the teams to lose their focus and lose their connection to you. So Zoom calls are great. Sometimes you don't have anything to say, so it's difficult. So I try to do a kind of a 2-weekly, monthly email catch up with people, talking to people. I think just generally making them feel like they're still important. Will hopefully try and keep them with the business, but there's nothing you can do if they have to go out and find alternative employment because they don't only need the money from working, they need it for themselves, for their mental health as well. They want to work. Our industry, we're not used to sitting at home doing nothing, are we? We're used to being 100 miles an hour, 7 days a week, busy with deadlines. And I think that will be the biggest issue when we get back, will be people's mindset and mental health if they continue to not be working.
Correct. Yep. Indeed. It will be all of us, I assume, want to return as quickly as possible. There's no doubt in our minds. It's this new type of method of how we should return is what we're all looking into and seeing. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all. We are 3 minutes before our scheduled, and honestly, to thank you all for your time, to take this opportunity to invite, if time allows it, to visit us in our masterclass, which IFES will held at the end of June, between the 24th and the 25th. And hopefully you will see more information, obviously, on our website, and it will be sitting in the driver's seat and how we can pitch up our sales and be back, right there to begin doing business as soon as possible. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you all those, Ben, and to Maria, Carl, and Torsten. You've been a wonderful panel, and I look forward into more of these.